What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Welcome to your transfer view. And somehow, some way, after 12 days of January and the January transfer window for Manchester United, it looks like Manchester United's transfer plans are looking to explode into life. Yes, it's like, what is it, buses? Two come along at once, but it looks like it's going to be one coming in and one going out when it comes to Manchester United. There is actually a ton to get into this morning when it comes to some transfer news surrounding the big club in Old Trafford. So we've got possibly an incoming from Germany, possibly a defence midfielder, or certainly a central midfielder, possibly what Manchester United have been looking for a while. Looks like we could have an outgoing as well at the centre-back position. So there's plenty to get into. So let's get straight into it. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. So we'll start off talking about Dennis Zakaria. Now, Zakaria has been linked to Manchester United for the last month or so. Really, in the last couple of weeks, it's really started to pick up a little bit, and you know how it works. Sometimes he is coming, sometimes he isn't coming. It's one of those situations where Zakaria's contract is expiring at the end of the season, so of course, with less than 6 months left on his deal now, of course, his agent is sort of pushing his name out there, and you do have to be a little bit cautious when it comes to players being linked. On top of that, he's exactly what Manchester United need right now in terms of a midfielder. We saw in the performance against Aston Villa in the FA Cup on Monday, if we are going to stick to the 4-2-3-1 formation, we've needed a central midfielder, an industrious, possibly defensive, but certainly an industrious central midfielder for the longest time. We've needed it going all the way back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We were looking for a defensive midfielder, central midfielder over the summer. It still, I think, is Manchester United's long-term target for this summer as well. I don't think if we sign Dennis Zakaria, that's exactly it. That doesn't mean, we're not going to go for a big name over the summer. No, I think this is something that can maybe help Manchester United now. So the report is, and this comes from Sky in Germany, that Manchester United are in talks to sign Dennis Zakaria. Now, this comes after Fabrizio Romano mentioned on his podcast that Zakaria's agents did have conversations with Manchester United in December too. So it's one thing, I suppose, for Fabrizio Romano to come out and say, yeah, Manchester United had talks with Zakaria's agents in December. That's one thing. Clubs talk to agents all the time, and agents, as I mentioned, especially when their client is coming to the end of their contract, and it's a situation where, especially an overseas club, that they're like, right, he's not going to sign a new deal. He's out of contract in the summer. Of course, the club now are desperate to get some kind of money. They don't want to lose him on a free. We can probably do something. That happens all the time. So the conversation between the players' agents and the club is one thing. It's another thing for Sky in Germany to come out and say, no, Man United are in talks to sign him now. We're not talking end of the season stuff. We're talking now. And obviously, Sky in Germany, it's the same as Sky over here in the UK. If they're coming out and saying something, then they would feel like there's something concrete there. So it looks like Man United might be actually doing some business after all in the January transfer window, which is exciting. I've seen a lot of people have actually quite, I suppose, divided opinions on this, which is interesting. It is interesting because some people are saying, look, yes, it's exciting. Yes, we do need to get people in. Yes, we do need to, we need to get people in. We've got a big squad. We need to get the right people in. I think it's probably worth pointing that out. And certainly in the positions that we desperately need to improve the quality of, specifically the central midfield areas. But a lot of people are saying, is this going to be the saviour of Manchester United? Is this going to fix our season? No. He's a guy that, yes, he's out of contract with Gladbach in the summer. I think he had a bad knee injury a couple of years ago. Is he, again, a world beater, all this kind of stuff? Maybe not. But I think looking at the performance, and this is kind of my feeling on it, looking at the performance that we've been doing recently in a variety of formations, frankly, whether it's the 4-2-2, which I think Rangnick has abandoned now, to be honest with you. But if we're going to stick with the 4-2-3-1, which given the win over Villa on Monday, I think Rangnick's going to probably stick to for a while going forward until it stops working, basically. And let's be honest, it didn't exactly work tremendously well on Monday. Yes, we won, but we were still conceding chances. We were still sloppy in possession, still just poor passing, poor just everything, really. I think given that, there is, once again, it's highlighted the need. We need a midfielder. We need a midfielder that can actually pass the ball. We need a midfielder that can actually, win the ball back, ball winner, and we just need an effective midfielder. And getting Zakaria in, I think it's a quick fix, but I don't think it's a bad fix right now. Zakaria reportedly would cost 5 or 6 million, nothing, basically, because his contract's expiring in the summer. Obviously, there's always something you do have to be cautious about when it comes to wages of anyone when they've got a low transfer fee. If you're a decent agent or an agent of any worth, you try and get your client the best deal possible, especially when there's a low transfer fee, because you can then go to the club and say, wow, guys, you're barely having to pay anything in terms of a transfer fee, so maybe we get a bit of a higher wage, or maybe we get a bit of a higher signing on fee. So I do think we have to be a bit cautious about that. But I think at this point it's better than nothing, really. And that's not to put down Zakaria. And again, I'm not going to be one of these people. Sometimes what people are like here on YouTube or wherever, where they act like they're the biggest Dennis Zakaria expert. Oh yeah, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, like everyone else. I've looked him up. I've done my reading. I've looked at the compilations, if you will. Do I think he's Manchester United's, like I said, saviour to all of our problems? No, our problems are way, way, far, far bigger than that. Is he what we need? Probably right now. Probably, because right now we need a midfielder. As I mentioned, does signing Dennis Zakaria right now mean that we don't go after that big central midfielder or defensive midfielder in the summer? No, I don't think necessarily plans ultimately change that much if we sign Dennis Zakaria. My one concern would be is that in the summer, if the right name doesn't become available, or if they're looking for whoever it may be, if it was Declan Rice or Tchouameni, or those lists goes on and on. Frank Kessie, I think, he's going to be a free agent in the summer, so we should try and get him anyway. But if say Declan Rice wasn't available, my only concern would be well, we got Dennis Zakaria in January, so that would tide us over for another year. No. I think getting Dennis Zakaria, I don't think changes anything. I really don't. But to focus on the positives, we are going to focus on the positives. To focus on the positives, it's what we need right now. You can't tell me, looking at that performance on Monday or looking at the recent performances, we don't need a midfielder. Of course we do. Of course we need a midfielder. Now, as I mentioned, does Zakaria really fit into the 4-2-3-1, or does he fit more into the 4-2-2-2? Given he's more of an industrious midfielder, I think he'd probably fit more into the 4-2-2-2. But again, it's just what we need. It's what we need right now. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Like I said, with Romano saying that talks were held in December, I think they were more informal of, let's update each other on the situation. That my client's out of contract in the summer. This is what he'd be available now. Can we do something? And then with Sky in Germany, of course, he's at Gladbach right now, so they'll be close to the situation. Going, no, Man United are in talks to sign him right now. That's significant. So keep your eyes peeled on that one, because I think that will develop a lot over the coming days. And given the small transfer fee, it looks to be a relatively straightforward deal to do. As we know, Manchester United and doing business, sometimes it can take a while. So keep an eye out for that one. But let's go from incomings to outgoings. And outgoings, this one kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest, last night. And that's Eric Bailly to AC Milan. Yeah, late last night, this one really just sort of exploded out of nowhere. And it looks to have a lot to it. And it could be happening quite quickly. So speaking of Fabrizio Romano, Fabrizio Romano came out yesterday evening and said, quote, AC Milan are working to sign a new centre-back. Eric Bailly, one of the names in the list. First approaches have started for the Manchester United players. So AC Milan have actually made the approach to sign Eric Bailly, whether that's going directly to Bailly, whether that's going to Manchester United, etc. He also said, though, and stressed, nothing advanced yet. So we're not talking about Eric Bailly going to join AC Milan tomorrow, but the wheels are in motion. And this deal could happen now, which again kind of came out of nowhere last night. Of course, Eric Bailly, I think today, has his first game at the Africa Cup of Nations for the Ivory Coast. Good luck, Eric. And then this isn't just Romano reporting this as well, because so Romano's basically saying the first sort of stages are happening, the first approaches are happening, but nothing's advanced. Well, This was then followed up by Damasio, who said that Eric Bailly has already agreed to join AC Milan. This is what it says. Eric Bailly has agreed to join AC Milan. In the last few hours, there have been positive signs from Manchester United. Milan are making their final evaluation. So, according to these reports, Milan have made the approach for Bailly. Eric Bailly has given his seal of approval. He wants to join AC Milan, and there are some positive signs from Manchester United. Now, when it comes to Eric Bailly, and I think I've spoken about this a couple of times before here on the channel, obviously, I think when we were talking about Defender of the Year from the United View community, he was voted as Defender of the Year. People like Eric Bailly. They do. And he's arguably one of the best defenders at the club. He is. His injury record, obviously, is shocking. It's he's been with the club, 5 years now? I think he's made something like 70 or so Premier League appearances. The record just isn't great. If Eric Bailly could stay fit, we'd have a heck of a player on our hands. The issue is that he can't. And I think at this stage, he's obviously one of those players that's unhappy. He's one of those players that's frustrated. It's just crazy, isn't it? And it goes to show that contracts just mean nothing in football, because he signed a new contract last year. I was doing a stream when it happened, and everyone universally at the time said, why? Why is this guy signing a new contract? More so towards Bailly, to be honest with you. Like, mate, why have you signed a contract? You're not playing. Your record isn't great when it comes to injuries. That's probably why you're not playing, because at the time, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the club, I guess, didn't trust him to be available for the entirety of the season, so he didn't play that much, even when he was fit, and he was just sat on the bench, and he looked frustrated. And he was one of these players at the beginning of this season, or just a few games into this season, that kind of had a realization of, when Ollie told me last season I was an important part of the plans, when Ollie told me I was going to play a lot this season, he wasn't telling the truth, because his ideal centre-back pairing at the beginning of this season was Harry Maguire and Raphael Varane, and if one of those wasn't available, it was going to be Victor Lindelof. So he wasn't even third choice, he was fourth choice, maybe. And whilst I do like Eric Bailly, and whilst I do think he's a good defender and one of the better defenders we have at the club, like I said before, when it came to Martial and other players and Lingard, I'm just kind of over hoping people stay. I'm just kind of over trying to say, no, maybe you should stick around, etc., etc. No. I said it before, if people are unhappy and they don't want to be at the club, they can go. And that applies to anyone. The issues at Manchester United are massive at the moment. And if we've got players that are unhappy and they don't want to be here, then they should go. And the Eric Bailly situation, like any player, you worry, you go, well, AC Milan, they're a decent side. They're doing well in Serie A this season. Are they still top of the league? Serie A, certainly they're competing for the title this year. I think it's between them and Napoli. And you go, man, well, maybe if they're seeing something, you start to doubt yourself a little bit, right? You go, oh, well, maybe if they're seeing something, then maybe they might manage Bailly better. Maybe they might get the best out of him, and then maybe he'll turn into a really good defender. Well, he is a really good defender, but maybe they'll find the consistency when it comes to his fitness that Manchester United haven't had. And would this be a mistake by Manchester United? No. He's been at Manchester United for 5 years at this point. And again, his injury record isn't great. And again, I like Bailly. So if Bailly goes to AC Milan and he figures out the fitness conundrum that he hasn't managed to figure out at Manchester United, good for him. Good for him. But like I said, at this point, I'm just kind of tired of, hoping players stay and hoping they can figure out the fitness issue, or hoping they can figure out the consistency issue, or what have you. If they're not happy, they should go. Now, hopefully, one would hope that Manchester United do get a good fee for Eric Bailly, because they are actually in a position of power when it comes to time on his deal. Part of the problem before when it comes to United, of course, is that players are running down their deals, or Man United haven't agreed new deals, so they've got 6 months left, a year left, and United kind of forced of, well, I've got to accept the offer, whatever it is, because 6 months' time we're going to get nothing, or a year's time we're going to get nothing for them. Bailly's different. He's got, 4 years left? He barely just started his new contract, so when it comes to this new offer from AC Milan, United should charge a lot, because they've got some position of power in the negotiations, right? They can say to AC Milan, well, what the bid you're coming in for him now, I don't know what it would be. I really don't. You can let me know in the comment section below what kind of money would you be looking for Eric Bailly. But certainly United can say to AC Milan, look, he's just signed a new deal. He doesn't have to go anywhere right now. We're not forced into anything. So keep an eye out for that one. Again, it kind of came out of nowhere, but given that Romano's saying it and Damasio saying it, looks like it's heading in one direction. The couple of other things I did want to talk about today, I mentioned there's quite a lot going on. So there was this story about Marcus Rashford. Now, obviously, everyone's talking about Marcus Rashford at the moment. His poor performance against Villa, his poor performances recently. What's going on with Rashford? His body language just looked terrible. He didn't look... He just looked disinterested, didn't look like he wanted to be there. So there's a lot, obviously, a lot of stories talking about him. So Paul Hurst from The Times put out a really interesting story yesterday and said 6 months ago, when Real Madrid declared their interest in Kylian Mbappe. Remember all of that saga in the summer when Mbappe looked like he was going to go to Madrid and it didn't happen and all this kind of stuff? Well, when Real Madrid were pursuing Mbappe, PSG, as you would, started drawing up a short list of possible replacements in case he left that summer. And Marcus Rashford, yes, Manchester United's Marcus Rashford was the top of that list to replace Kylian Mbappe. It was also continued saying that Mauricio Pochettino is a big admirer of Marcus Rashford. So I think it's trying to imply, and maybe it's saying that was then, this is now kind of thing, and maybe this is just the sheer drop-off of Marcus Rashford. I'm not going to be a deluded Manchester United fan enough to say that Marcus Rashford is as good as Kylian Mbappe. I think that's madness. I think that is madness. Mbappe is one of the best players in the world. He is. And Rashford is not near that level at the moment. Will he ever get there? Who knows what can happen. But certainly right now, he is nowhere near that standard. Does it say a lot about his drop-off? Maybe. I don't know if PSG would be interested now. And when the report says that Pochettino is a big admirer of Marcus Rashford, I look at that and I say, well, he's definitely staying at United then. Because if they're trying to imply that, well, obviously next summer, Mbappe could leave on a free, it's still rumoured that he's going to go to Real Madrid. Could he go to PSG then? Could he still be the one to replace Kylian Mbappe at PSG? No. No. I don't see that because Pochettino, there's a high chance he's going to be the Man United manager next season. And if Pochettino was smart, he would be saying to himself, right, I do like Marcus Rashford, and Pochettino knows in his heart of hearts where he's going to be. There's probably a lot we don't know about the whole conversations between Pochettino and Manchester United right now. There's a lot we probably don't know. We don't know if Pochettino's already given his verbal agreement, yeah, I'm going to join United at the end of the season, or yeah, I'm going to leave PSG. And if he is a fan of Rashford, he'd want Rashford to be at United because that's where he's going to be managing next year. So I look at that, and don't get me wrong, Paul Hurst is a very credible reporter, and I'm sure there probably was something into 6 months ago. Absolutely. PSG might have been looking at Rashford as a possible replacement, and maybe Pochettino is an admirer, but he's not going to PSG. He just he's not now. That's so far off happening. It was also reported by Paul Hurst that there is a concern within Manchester United about Marcus Rashford's present form. Reportedly, a couple of club legends have offered their services to try and help the player get out of his present slump. Everyone wants to see Rashford get out of his slump and improve. I think it's, and Flex and KG kind of talked about this yesterday, so I don't want to jump too much into it and repeat what they were saying, but I think it's just a case of he just needs to be taken out of the team. He needs to be taken out of the spotlight, and whether that's for a few weeks, a month or so, and just, and that's what Sir Alex would do, and I don't want to be that guy going, well, Sir Alex would do this, all this kind of stuff, but that's what he would do. If a player's underperforming, they're not playing well, almost the last thing you should do is probably play them. Just give them time. Give them time out of the spotlight. Hopefully whoever comes in replaces them does well, and that certainly does help because then they then have to fight for their spot back. But I don't know if it's burnout. I don't know if it's bad form. I don't know if it's the recovery from his surgery. I don't know. But obviously Marcus Rashford is not playing well at the moment, and I think the best thing to do is take him out of the side. And that's kind of what Mark Ogden from ESPN has said. He said, quote, "There is a view at Manchester United that Marcus Rashford has yet to fully recover from his surgery in the summer and has been unable to build sufficient match fitness to rediscover his best form." I mean, certainly, that would be an explanation that would make sense. Rashford did not look fully fit against Aston Villa. I mean, one of the one where Mason Greenwood had the shot and he just didn't even bother chasing down the ball is crazy. But on the same side, you would say, well, he's been back for a while, so why hasn't he been able to build up match fitness? He did come back early from his surgery, and maybe it's a case of it's not just building up fitness from that surgery. Maybe it is burnout. Maybe it's a conglomeration of a lot of issues. All we know right now is that Marcus Rashford isn't playing well. And like I said, I think, in my opinion, the best solution is just to take Rashford out the side and give him some time. And I think that's probably the best thing to do for Marcus Rashford. A couple of things I did want to talk about quickly, and then we will wrap this up. Flex spoke about this yesterday, so we won't touch on it too much. It continues to talk about the story about Dean Henderson. His situation at United, of course, he wasn't even involved with the squad on Monday, and reportedly that was because he's still trying to push through a loan move away in January. Ralph Rangnick spoke that he had spoken to Henson. Henderson had told him he wants to leave. Rangnick had said to him, no, I want to have 3 top goalkeepers available to me in case, and Henderson wants to leave on loan. He's unhappy with his amount of playing time, etc. While it was reported in the Mail yesterday that Tottenham are monitoring Dean Henderson's situation with a view to a summer transfer. This isn't a January transfer, so that one's probably way off. The report basically is that if Henson was to leave in January, it's going to be on loan. Certainly isn't going to be permanent, but I think Tottenham are looking more towards a summer transfer because, of course, Hugo Lloris, we don't really know his situation at the moment. His contract's expiring in the summer, so there might be a situation where Hugo Lloris leaves on a free transfer, and possibly they might have to bring a new goalkeeper in. That might be Dean Henderson. So that's one to look for the summer months. When it does come to January, though, and Dean Henderson, Jonathan Schrager is reporting that there is a possibility that Henderson will leave Man United in January. If it does happen, a loan deal is currently more likely than a permanent move. So it's still kind of a situation, again, where we're looking at a loan deal, a possible loan deal. Where that would be, it's been rumoured Newcastle. Of course, Newcastle look like they're going to sign Chris Wood today, which for me is just is a surprising signing, certainly. But I think possibly a loan move to Newcastle might be the one. We haven't really heard a ton about it, but I would be shocked if Henderson left permanently in January. I don't see that happening. Maybe in the summer. A loan deal, I said before, I'm not totally against. I know people will say, what if David De Gea gets hurt? What if? But he won't. Well, he hasn't. He doesn't often. And I know people will say, yeah, but you can't have Tom Heaton as your backup goalkeeper. I mean, I understand the logic, but I also don't understand the logic in keeping an unhappy player at the club. Like I said about Eric Bailly, if they're not happy, go. If you've got an unhappy player, and we know the dressing room right now is quite toxic and the atmosphere around the club is bad, it would be in your best interest to be letting unhappy players go. Whether it's Eric Bailly, whether it's Dean Henderson, one, just to help alleviate the negativity surrounding the club in the dressing room, but two, also to send a bit of a statement going, if you're not happy, we'll let you go. And then these players might not suddenly be unhappy and stop groaning because they're like, oh, actually, I want to stay, so I should be making some positive noises. There's lots of different, permutations when it comes to that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Henson goes and forces that move through, to be honest with you. And finally, speaking of the Mail once again, this is what Flex touched on in the road trip yesterday. Tottenham have asked about Jesse Lingard for the summer, but at this stage, he's leaning towards a move abroad as a free agent. So the Lingard one, I don't expect Lingard to move in January. I don't. It came out, was it last week or whenever it was, that Lingard's going to stick around. He's going to stick around. He's going to leave as a free agent in the summer. I know, and I do understand, especially what I've just been saying, that if you're unhappy, you should go right now. I think the situation when it comes to Lingard is he's basically keeping his options open. He realises if he leaves in the summer, he's completely in charge of his own destiny. He can go wherever he wants. He can negotiate his own deal. It's not a case of Manchester United having to accept certain offers. If he wants to go to West Ham, he can. If he wants to go to Spurs, he can. If he wants to go abroad, he can. He can do the abroad stuff now. He can sign a pre-contract. I'm not sure if he necessarily will. I think, and this is just my opinion, he's going to leave it to the summer, and then he's going to say, right, I can go wherever I want, I can do whatever I want, I can negotiate with whoever I want, and that's what I'm going to do. So I think that's Lingard's plan, but we'll have to wait and see when it comes to that. But look, guys, like I said, plenty to talk about, plenty of stuff going on when it comes to transfers, incomings and outgoings from Manchester United. So be sure to keep your eyes peeled to the channel. Of course, if there's any big breaking news stories, of course, we'll go live. Flex, myself, one of us will go live. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. And also, as well, let me know your thoughts. Let me know... Literally, when you know it's early, I'm smashing around all over stuff. Let me know your thoughts on Zakaria possibly coming in, Bailly possibly going out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we can discuss. We can really mull this one over. It's certainly an interesting one. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Hope you have a good Wednesday. Peace.